Monday on Indiana, and I am on OBS. I have selected the virtual camera going live, the broadcast. I'm not, let's see, chat. Let's see how I can bring up the chat. That would be this one. Okay, so chat should be good as well. You do have to subscribe to chat, but I think the time now is only 1 minute. So if you once you do subscribe, put in what county on Indiana you're from so we can say hi to you, welcome you onto the call. If you wanted to put your name in as well, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, so we'll go ahead and get some things going here. So OBS. So for me to be able to do the screen share, I'll be clicking back and forth. So sometimes there'll be pauses in between, as well as then, of course, once the call is over, the link will be for the video will be ready on the YouTube channel. Okay. So let's go ahead and get things started. The first thing we want to do is you're going to go to the indianaassembly.org and I have to be able to change back to you guys so you can be able to see. Okay, so you're going to go to the indianaassembly.org. It then redirects, so you'll see in the web address that it'll go to states.americanstatenationals.org/Indiana. So at this point in time, the Federation is hosting the website, but the Assembly is paying for the domain name. The domain name is pointing to the web hosting. And so far at this point in time, excuse me, I've been the one that's been keeping the website updated and keeping the information up there. Okay, so here is the home page. So if you'll go here into this upper right corner, let me show you here where it says Indiana Debt Redemption Center. Come back here so you can see it. So that was in the top right corner. Indiana Debt Redemption Center brings you to here. All right, so I have got updated information in here as well as the previous information, so you'll be able to go back to the older recordings. I really hope I can, because it's kind of awkward. All right, so it's going to take, if you don't see it, I'm not sure, I'm still trying to figure that out, but let me get some reading in here, but you'll be able to go to the web page to be able to see it as well. Okay, so underneath the Indiana Debt Redemption Center, it has it, the Indiana Assembly is an unincorporated, not-for-profit community organization informing and educating the general public with correct bookkeeping procedures to clean up the national debt and organically lower the ramifications of the godless de facto imposed inflation. The Indiana Debt Redemption Center, the DRC, where Indiana State Nationals come for free training to support the redemption of debt falsely attributed to your vessel. What minimum documents are required to be an American State National? Declaration of Naturalization Act of 1779, placed on the Indiana Assembly record. Note there is only one Indiana Assembly with the state coordinator, Christine Bundy, that is myself. Anyone telling you otherwise is misinforming you. But at this point in time, now there are opportunities for co-coordinators, but this is a federation level role, so it is one that does require background check and vetting process from the federation, as well as all the roles, including various roles that include such as recording secretary and assembly public notary, also require a background check and vetting from the federation. So while we still have to go through the election process and everything for those roles, it still has to go through the federation for the vetting process and background check process. Background check information has been provided that you go through ClearChecks, clearchecks.com, and submit the information, the report to records at theindianaassembly.org, and then records or vetting. I apologize, but records at theindianaassembly.org will get it as well, and then that way it can be then also presented to the Federation to be able to move that forward, to keep the engagement between the because it's the coordinator that is that liaison between the Federation and the nationals on the state. Okay, so while many might think that they may directly go through the Federation for some things, that's not really how that works on roles that are for the state level. Okay, so let me scroll this up, see if you can be able to get, yeah, we should be able to get this into here. Okay, so so of course we have claims. Everyone is self-governing and chooses whether or not to take action on the free information and is solely accountable for any consequences, intentional or unintentional. It's not for U.S. citizens, in that can be a finable or jailable type of consequence. Are you actually a U.S. citizen? This is a grassroots effort and will continue to go through adjustments as the processes are fleshed out given the current conditions in play. Do you have to do everything provided in the instructions? No, as this is all on you. However, if you want a different result, then maybe you need to be the better example by doing it correctly. If you're only, excuse the term, half-assing, then what do you think you're going to get in return, right? And I also use dollar signs because a lot of times many want to cut costs when it comes to how they're sending it, forgetting that they're conducting business, and but they take that sticker price from the Postal Service as a, they don't want to pay it. Just don't want to pay it, and therefore it decreases the value of what it is that they're trying to do. So bear that in mind. All right, so let me move forward here, going through here. So I'm only going to spend just a few more minutes on here, because in that way you can be able to see where the information is at that I will be presenting this evening. So when you scroll down right here, 2023 February. So right here, when you go to this link, it's going to pull up the process. This is what we're going to go through tonight, so that way you can be able to pull it up right here as well. As well as there's more information in here that is valuable, that will be extremely supportive. I want to make sure you see this. I want you to scroll to new data and support tools. In here, you're going to find the entire DUNS report for the state of Indiana. You will find that it also includes the spreadsheet that includes all the sub-DUNS numbers for all entities with the state of Indiana. Okay, so that will be a powerful tool, especially it also includes the judicial offices and their DUNS numbers as well. Let's see, there's also... I've included a link that has a court directory for state of Indiana. So that should be supportive as well. And then there's also then the link that is for notice of conflict of law. That last link there, notice of conflict of law, that is the one that has like 10 of Anna's articles. Notice of conflict of law, public and international of personage and barratry of crimes, public and international notice of treason. And did you notice that Donald Trump has called for the January 6th committee to be considered for treason because they blatantly and outright withheld information, evidence, blatantly withheld information, evidence, and lied. that is treason. You got to stand up for it and call it what it is. No more nice guy, right, people? Also in this, public and international notice of claim and notice of crimes and property of crimes and enslavement. This is how you're fighting back without being unpeaceful. This is how to do it peaceful and correctly. Public and international notice to the Bar Association, 30-day warning. Public and international notice of trespass and breach of trust. That's a lengthy one. The final explanation and Great Britain's role. Let's see. I'm almost done. Naval Agency and Distribution Act of 1864. Bingo. Article 3680, the Public Employer's Directive. We're the public employer, they're the employee, right? This is our directive to them. And then it follows with the last one is our remedies. This is the bundle that every one of you Indianians need to have print out and start serving notices to all these elected officials that are state of Indiana. Start noticing them. But that means you're going to have to pay for the postage. So think about that. Okay, anyway, so I wanted to make sure that you see here is where those links are, and that is that's going to be supportive in your process. Also, should they be trespassing on you and you choose to do the criminal trespass report, let's go there. Let me show you that. Again, I'll have to do a screen changing. So it's at the TASA.AmericanStateNationals.org site. And then you're going to do the hover over correct your status, and then you'll select chart your course. And then it is, oh, you're going to have to scroll all the way down, but it's got the criminal right here. Let me pull it back up here so you can be able to see it. So here's the criminal incident report. Okay. It has the information in there as to the process as well as the criminal incident report. When you have completed that, then you're going to present that to me in order to do the recording aspect, publishing aspect of it. Then you're to move forward. It's a second step, okay? It is not just a filling out the form and putting it on a public record. That's not actually following through with finishing it, just like with the Declaration of Political Status process, okay? You're going to have to actually submit the criminal incident report. I think at this point now it's the DOJ. So you're going to turn it in. You're going to send it to the state of Indiana DOJ. Okay? You have to follow through. You just putting it on the public record. Yes, that meets the curing time. So should anybody looking for it, but we're at a point where we're now having to actually start the course correction. This is the correction. Okay, so that's where you're going to get that kind of information. Okay, so let me go back to, all right, so we were back on the Indiana Debt Redemption Center. Now remember, you're going to go to this link here that is the updated process. I've been trying to keep it in chronological order with the most recent date at the top and the oldest date below, so that way you're keeping the most informed. Okay, so you're going to go to that link there. So let me go ahead and change over to that tab, and we will get rolling with that. That's not going to work well. Hold on, so that you can be able to still see it. Okay, so all right, so American Assembly mochi sandwich instructions. All right. So it's being called a sandwich because you're able to put in multiple bills, right? It's not just one bill in this process. Okay. And so as you can see, because this is the federation level, this is the American Assembly, it's all the state assemblies. working together to bring this together into a cohesive process so that all the states are on the same page, so that it's not confusing for when the IRS officials receive the information, so that they can be able to, it's a consistent process that they can be able to follow. Okay. All right. So again, this process is only for Americans who have declared and recorded their birthright political status. Again, if it's not on paper, it didn't happen. You can talk all day, all night that you're an American, but if you haven't actually done the paperwork, then you're not an American yet. You haven't informed them. It's also, you've got to follow through of serving them notice. So if nothing else, if you only do the 1779 two witness testimonies and birth certificate, you'll want to do that declaration of political status process, right? Because then that's really informing them that you are you're rejecting that U.S. citizen status. And many are asking the same question as, well, what do I need to do to stop state of Indiana on things? Okay, so what you need to realize is that once you get the IRS level dealt with, it automatically feeds through to state of Indiana, just like that federal tax return when you send it electronically, just like when you're doing all your paperwork, all that, they're all connected with the IRS. Okay? So if the IRS has the information, it's going to be sent to state of Indiana. But you're also going to do send your declaration of political status to the Secretary of State for your birth state as well. It wouldn't even hurt to send it to the state of Indiana if you weren't born on Indiana. The point is serving as many notice as you possibly can, right? That's what this whole process is. Okay, so this document is provided as a best effort to document the American States Assembly's MOCHI process. Again, we've said all along this is called the MOCHI process. In that it is because in that it's for mutual offset, because it's an accounting process. It's not actually any real exchange of money, because there's no money. Mutual offset credit to actually apply the credit they were supposed to all along. Exchange to exchange the credit for the debt for the credit. Exemption. Okay? Mutual offset credit exchange exemption process. You are solely responsible for any coupons, money orders, or letters that you produce. Educate yourself before proceeding, right? That's why nobody's going to be doing this as a service for you, so it's not going to be like in the de facto world that you call some debt collection agency, because they are also paid by that whole system. It's all a mafia scheme, right? Everything was set up for a whole little plan to set up to help everybody, because they're all in bed together. All right? Okay. Let me scroll this down some. All right. Then you'll be able to see that it goes through the table of contents as you're looking through it too. So let me just go ahead and move forward so we can get to. All right. Let's get to this instructions here. Introduction. Okay, this document details the debt remedy process taught by Anna on October 20th, 2022 in Article 3826, Debt Redemption. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm going to just turn me off so that I can be able to work out getting this a little bit bigger so that we can hopefully see it a little bit easier. Hopefully I don't end up losing the view thing once coming back, because sometimes it doesn't always want to play nice. Okay, so All right, so this process consists of using the mutual offset credit exchange exemption, MOCHI, as I stated, via canceled corporate billing statements, coupons, with a corresponding money order sent to the Internal Revenue Service to be processed by the United States Treasury, noticing Congress and going after corporation chief financial officers or CFOs if your credits are not applied. Okay? So this means when you course correction means you're going to have to actually do some things to be able to make these things happen. Right? Okay. So here are some tips to be able to support you with that. All right. So this process, again, is not for U.S. citizens. The upper lowercase U.S. citizen is territorial or citizens of the United States. That's as citizen of the United States or as all caps United States also applies for municipal. See Article 2987 about Funky Bookkeeping 101 and MOCHI. And there's a quote here, you have to declare and record your birthright political status as an American in order to qualify for mutual offset credit exchange exemptions. Right? And that's what I had said, right? Okay, I'm going to change things up here. I'm going to put a little comment in the message in the chat to see if we can get some communication going on here. So I want to see who all's on what county. So I am Christine. I'm the state coordinator for the Indiana Assembly, and I am on Gibson County. So please put your message in and say hi. All right, so we can get some communication going on here. Start moving, start working together, right? Stop looking for others to do things for you. Stop trying to get them to even hold your hand through this. This is time for growing up. You're being shown the process. Pay attention, okay? All right, so let me scroll it a little bit more. All right, so we can be able to, I don't know if it will let me make that bigger. It's not going to let me make that bigger. Okay. All right, so you do not need to have the 928 documents completed for this process, and that's what I had stated that was on the website for the Indiana Assembly Debt Redemption Center, is that the minimum is the 1779, 2 witness testimonies, and birth certificate. It is helpful, though, to have the 928s done as well. That's part of your armoring up process. The basic 1779 declaration of political status with 2 witness testimonies, aka the 1 page, is sufficient. So notice the 1779 declaration well, they've got the declaration, they've got the 1779 declaration of political status in this, but it's the 1779 declaration of naturalization. Maybe it's a second with this having to also include the declaration of political status with the 2 witness testimonies, aka the 1 pager. So some are thinking, because many have been misinformed, they're sure they're correct in thinking that they can get a notary just to add a second notary page onto it, or that they can separate their autograph from the notary's information, the notary block. You do not want to do that, because that breaks it up in the contract, right? Now, it's called the 1779 Declaration of Naturalization is a 1-pager because it was designed specifically and formatted to be a 1-pager so that the notary could be on the same page. As well as the witness testimony is also a 1-pager. There is no reason to put that notary on a second page. Okay? Plain and simple, there's no reason for some of these documents to be coming with the notary block and even your autograph split up onto a second page when it was specifically designed, formatted as a one-pager. All right, and that is because Anna said keep it as simple as best, so that way it stays as a one-pager. Okay, let me scroll a little bit more here. All right, so now there are the links in here so that you'll be able to go through the links and read the articles yourself. Okay, don't just take the tidbits and then jump right into getting into the meat of it. You need to have the knowledge so that you can be able to articulate it. That's part of doing homework, so that you get that foundation, so that when you do end up making the move on moving on that paperwork, you have built your confidence within you that what you're doing is what you need to be doing. Not just because I want to hurry up and get this done because they said it and it's supposed to just wipe everything out. No. This is time again for growing up. Read through the information to know why you're doing this. Not just because you're looking to try and get your stuff paid. Okay? This is about course correction for you just as much as for them. Right? Because none of us have been living correctly either. Because we were programmed to do it incorrectly. It does not give us permission to be nasty and hateful to them, to demand them to get correct. That doesn't solve anything at all. You have to correct yourself if you're expecting them to correct. Okay, so Article 3234, the Bilateral Banking System 2.0. Which also, if you'll see on the if you go to the toolbar, the top menu bar of the Indiana Assembly page, if you actually click the word calls, it'll go to the history of all the it has a link of all the different pages of the different types of calls that have been done through the years. And it links to their page with the videos, and you'll link to the one where I went through reading all of the 23 blood money articles that Anna, and then it was also there was a run on reading through all of the banking, all the articles relative to the banking history. So, and this is one of the articles that was there. So if you wanted to go back to be able to listen to and get the listing of all the articles that are relative to banking that Anna's done, to get that history, there's some support for you. So such offset was guaranteed under the National Emergency Banking Act of 1934 and defined as a mutual offset credit exchange exemption, which the same villains have avoided paying all these years by a simple crime of impersonation and false registration of their American employers as British territorial U.S. citizens and dual municipal citizens of the United States too. Right? That's how they're doing it through the driver's license, and that's how they're doing it through the IRS for payroll tax. What you may ask is a mochi. It's what happens when two people owe each other debts and swap the debts. You owe me $100, I owe you $10. So instead of paying you, I say, okay, now you only owe me $90. That's a mochi, and that option of paying the public debts is what Americans have been owed since 1934. But that means you have to actually apply for it. You have to go through that process. How many of you went through all the nonsense to get food stamps through the years? I'm not saying everybody have, but went through all of the paperwork and process to receive Medicaid assistance because you were having children. We had 3 children. We went through the process because we needed support. We needed help. We weren't able to do it. So if you were able to go through all of that, how come, you don't want to take the time to do this correctly to be able to figure this out? And then also actually take action to course correct. It's time to let your no be no. It does not mean, well, all right, you've let it go this long. I don't want to have to get into it. It's just too much of a hassle for me, an inconvenience for me to have to make you do your job. Really? Then don't complain about the debt then. Just follow the process if you want to clear it. But you have to start acting on it. Let's see. Okay. So the essence of the crime against the American people is to deny them their offset credit option based on their based on their self-interested and fraudulent legal presumptions that all Americans chose en masse to become British subjects and therefore owed no mutual offset credit exchange exemption. However, the en masse of those that are British subjects there don't even realize that that's what's happened. They just followed along. Okay. Process summary. You will process each billing statement by placing a banker's cancellation stamp. We've discussed this. That's the stamp that you can be able to purchase. That's a personalized stamp through the that's a debt redemption bundle. That's the personalized stamp that you can purchase. There's a link that's in the email information. On front and back of each billing statement page, writing how much to offset or pay in the amount box of the coupon or voucher of the billing statement, and creating a corresponding money order by your own handwritten script, which means in legible cursive in blue ink. You'll create a stack of canceled billing statements and money orders called a mochi sandwich. Be sure to place your banker's cancellation stamp on the front and back of every billing statement page. However, be sure to not stamp the coupon's voucher portion. And I'll show you the example below in a moment here. So, for now, the best practice is to cancel and send all billing statement pages and use originals if you have them. But make a copy for your records, but send them the originals to the U.S. where you're sending it to the IRS. Let's see. Okay. Work with your corporate service providers to get off of e-bills, which I stated in previous trainings, right? To get off of e-bills and start receiving paper billing statements again. Bear in mind, some of these companies will charge you a fee to go to a paper bill. You're going to have to eat it if you want this done. Okay? Because it has to be a paper bill for them to process from it. Now that, note that mochi is stuck in a 1930s paper and pen process until enough of us demand remedy, which will eventually push Internal Revenue Service, United States Treasury, Congress, and corporations to modernize the process. From here on, we will call a billing statement that has your banker's cancellation stamp applied to the front and back as a canceled billing statement. The stack of originals is marked to the Internal Revenue Service using tracked mail, example, priority mail or registered mail, for processing with a short instruction cover letter. Mail with registered mail for high value bills like your property taxes, where you may need to have proof of mailing and proof of payment, UCC 3603 in court. That's where the registered mail comes in by default. You don't have to do any filing with the USCC to be able to to invoke that. Okay. But in order to invoke using the UCC 3603, you do have to send registered mail if it is for a high priority or a high valued item. Okay, let me scroll here. Again, we'd like to hear from you as to what county on Indiana you currently call home. You can put it in the chat. Put what county you're from, and if you'd like to say what, give your name, we'd like to welcome you. Start getting involved and engage in communicating with others. I know you're able to do this on other YouTube channels with other YouTube groups, so we can be able to do this here. All right, so let's scroll here. Okay, all right, so notify your congressional delegation, at a minimum, your 2 U.S. senators and U.S. representative. Okay? So, and that's what I stated, right? And I actually had said it really should be all of them, but you at least need to send to the 2 U.S. senators and the U.S. representative for the district of your area. That you're exercising your lawful remedy. And on the Debt Redemption Center for Indiana's page, it has the list of, and actually it's in the zip file of documents. It has the list of, it's a labels template that has a list of all the representatives so that you can be, where it already has their name and their address. As well as there is also on that on the page of the Debt Redemption Center is a link that also takes you to the senators and representatives if you wanted to dive deeper, because there are more than you actually think. And then we're paying for our tax dollars that paid for every bit of that. Okay. All right. So this mailing. All right, so you're mailing to the 2 U.S. senators and U.S. representative. This mailing consists of the Congress Critter cover letter, carbon copy of Internal Revenue Service cover letter, and an optional anonymous sample canceled billing statement. Mail that first class or general post. Okay? And again, before you go to ask, well, where is that? It's coming in the instructions. Okay? Be patient. All right. So be sure to keep paying your bills. That's been stated every step of the way. The Mochi offset may take weeks to months to be applied, and you do not want to lose access to essential services. And you will find in all of the recordings that I've done and in all of the document instructions that I've put together that I have advised that you continue making payments on that which you do not want to lose. Because believe me, they can have someone out here quicker out to you to take whatever it is they want quicker than you can, than this process, because they're going to have to talk to everybody, right? They're also going to have to talk to that corporation of where that bill is due. They've all got to be able to figure out how they're going to work together to be able to make the process work, right? So you got to give them time. But I also have stated how you can, in those previous training calls, that's on that page for the Indiana Debt Redemption Center. I've also explained how you can be able to see when it's taking traction and it's actually working for you. All right, so if after 30 to 60 days you do not see credits applied to your billing account, send each company CFO a CFO cover letter, carbon copy of the Internal Revenue Service cover letter, and copies of the canceled billing statements, and copies of the voided money orders that pertain to their company, not with everybody that you sent, just to that company. Mail with priority or registered mail for higher value bills like property taxes when you may need to have proof of mailing and proof of payment UCC 3603 in court. Otherwise, mail first class or general post. Keep a copy of everything for your own records, right? All right, so what has it gone through first? It said that you're going to be sending to the IRS, that's going to be working with the U.S. Treasury, and then you're also sending to the minimum of the 2 U.S. senators and at least the representative for the district that you're in, right? Then if you don't see anything on your billing statement, of seeing any changes of that it's been taking any traction, you really should wait about 60 days. Again, they have to be able to have time to make that communications, right? Then send a letter. Go through where this letter is where you're sending a copy of everything that you sent to them, and that you sent to the IRS and to the state or to the U.S. representatives. But this time you're sending it not to them again, but you're sending it to the corporation that has that bill. And that's also to inform them that they've been instructed that this is supposed to be happening. They're going to have to work together. Okay? All right. So, process outline. All right. So, process each bill. Cancel each billing statement by placing your banker's cancellation stamp on the front and back of every page. Write the amount to offset pay in the amount box of the billing statement in blue ink. Use the dollar symbol with 2 lines. That's a key piece I did not realize in the previous trainings, okay? You want to use the 2 lines because I do remember in previous studies that the 2 lines means that it's backed. It's when the U.S. dollar symbol went to 1 line. That was when they no longer were backing it. And create the money order for each billing statement voucher. And again, simultaneous use of the voucher coupon billing statement is going to be the voucher coupon, right? Okay, so prepare the mochi sandwich for the Internal Revenue Service sandwich. Okay, so it's put together as considered a sandwich because if you've got more than 1 bill that you're sending in this process. Okay? So, in order to do that, so you're going to have on top the Internal Revenue Service cover letter. Then you're going to have what is being called a divider. So, you're going to take a white piece of paper, just a plain piece of white copy paper, preferably like a little bit thicker quality, you know, don't go cheap, but you don't have to be ravishly expensive either. As that divider. Okay, doesn't have to have anything on. I want to welcome Clay County on the call. There's someone else that hasn't shown me that maybe I can see here. All right, we got Marion County. Welcome. Yes, Casey will be going through that. It's in the instructions. We're going through it step by step. It's coming. Okay? All right, so first we're going through the process outline. And this is because it's putting everything together as a sandwich. And then we'll go through all the details of the money order process. All right. All right, so so it's going through each of the things here. So this is your list of how you're going to put the envelope together once you do put it together. All right. So let's scroll up a little bit more here so you can come back to see here. Okay, so like I was saying, a divider is anything that will make it clear to the Internal Revenue Service which money orders belong to which canceled billing statement. People typically use cardstock, like I was saying, a little bit thicker, right? Well, while you may think money order process is different from a coupon process, whoever once is, welcome. Anyway, if you would, please put what county you're on. We welcome you. we're following through the process that we have here. So if you will follow through and pay attention as to the terminology and definition that we're using here, and you'll understand that, okay? So please don't bring your past experiences into the chat. We're going through the process step by step, how it is as an American from the land and soil jurisdiction. All right, so again, a divider is anything that will make it clear to the Internal Revenue Service which money orders belong to which canceled billing statements. People typically use cardstock, crafting paper, or even colored parchments. Do not staple anything in your mochi sandwich. To keep the sandwich together, you can use a paper clip or use small strips of magic tape to tape one at the top and one bottom corner. The idea is to keep them together in case the agent drops the sandwich. Okay? So you're going to mail the mochi sandwich to Internal Revenue Service using tracked priority mail. Now, before you go asking, all the information is in here. Just give us time to get through the documents. Gotcha. Thanks. All right. So, mail mochi sandwich using tracked priority mail. Okay. For each Congress critter to be notified, you're going to have your Congress critter cover letter. They're going to get a copy of the Internal Revenue Service's cover letter. Optional anonymous sample canceled billing statement with voided money order. So what seems different here is that you're not sending the Congress critters a copy of all the bills that are sent. However, you are sending a copy of the cover letter from the Internal Revenue Service, but an example of what you're sending as a for the payment process so that they can see what that looks like. And then you're going to mail that one first class USPS, okay? So the one that is going to the Internal Revenue Service that actually has all the billing, your original statements, original billing documents, because you're getting off of e-billing, so you have actual hard documents, the actual physical paperwork to send with. You're sending them originals in this and making copies for your records. All right, so Internal Revenue Service is being sent through tracked mailing, priority mail, but the version going to the Congress critters are going regular first class. Okay. After 30 to 60 days, when you see no company credit, because you're going to be monitoring your bank statement or your billing statement to see, obviously you're still going to be making your payments, right? Do not stop making your payments even though you're doing this, okay? As well as next month when you get the new billing statement, you will send it again with the new amount. You're not going to be doing it again for the previous amount. You've already done that. You're going to get this. This will become a regular monthly process. In addition to you making your regular actual physical payments until it does actually kick in and pick up with those companies. When that kicks in, and you'll see it actually through those statements, because they're really not going to be, announcing too much that they're, that it's getting done through this process. But it does give that opportunity. Again, don't stop making your property tax payments, but send your property tax bill. Don't stop making your mortgage payment, but send the mortgage bill. But when you do your mortgage, for the mortgage process, you're only going to do the regular monthly bill payment. Just like you're making the physical monthly payment. You're not going to be sending through the entire mortgage in this process. in one payment. Eventually you will be hopefully paying it all off through this process. But you're not doing it all at once in one lump sum, because that will shift the economic balance, because all of those that still are making payments on things is going to jack their interest rates up on their payments. Okay? So the point is keeping the payment made. Okay, so again, so after 30 to 60 days, if you're not seeing that credit on the billing statement, then you're going to send to the CFO, the company CFO cover letter, the canceled billing statement copy, or your copy's marked copy. So that would be a good thing to get. If you just as a side thing, they have these little small rubber stamps you can get like at Office Depot or Staples that have one has copy, one has paid, one has void, things like that you can be able to use to stamp on your copies to include with. Then you'll have a copy of the voided money order that is either a copy or it's marked that it's copy and void. Because on the money orders, you're going to go ahead, you're going to put copy and void in that because it's getting paid through that process, so it doesn't get paid again. Then it gets mailed via first class USPS, or send it tracked priority mail or registered mail if you're thinking you're going to have to use the administrative process. Okay, so for example, administrative process, if it's something that you're in a court situation and you need to make sure that you show proof of actually sending it. Okay, so this is how we're going to do this to create the money order. This is canceling each billing statement page. On the billing statement, front and back, at a 45-degree angle from this is going to be doing the cancellation stamp first, then going into the money order. Okay, so 45-degree angle from lower left to upper right, and I'll scroll down here in a moment to show that example, but trying to read through here for the instructions. So, and it's exemption, not exception, it's exemption ID, and the exemption ID is your social security number without the dashes. It's the creditor account. Okay? And there are items that are red, that are printed or stamped. And I'll show you that too here again. The last line, okay, so let me just go ahead and scroll down here and show you. All right, so scroll down here. All right, so this is color coded for a reason. Here is the stamp, and this is included in the debt redemption bundle that you can purchase from the assembly. That's the personalized stamp where it's ordered with this with your name, your transmitting utility name put in here, but I do not put in the the exemption ID number and social security number. You have to hand write that in yourself. Okay? Because too many were not wanting to follow through with sending that, and I don't need to keep track of that information. You should be responsible for writing that in yourself. Okay, but a stamp is fine, but it does have to be color coded in this way. Now, where you see it is blue, that is not part of the stamp. Okay, because that is going to be your own wet ink, your own autograph wet ink. All right, so, and it'll be put at an angle, but it's showing here where it's straight up so we can read it easier. So accepted for value, exempt from levy. You're in your own blue ink, wet ink. You're signing the transmitting utility name, and you're spelling out the date. Okay. Then you have exemption ID numbers, your social without the hyphens. That's the credit side of it. deposit to United States Treasury. It's not going anywhere else because this is an offset thing. It's not, that's how this, they're the ones that are going to have to be the ones to process this. And charge the same to the all caps transmitting utility with the Social Security number with the hyphens in it, because then this is the debtor side of it. Okay. And again, the debt redemption bundle has this stamp. It's the stamp created, and it includes the first ink pad, red ink pad that fits the dimensions of that stamp. And it has your name printed here in the bottom portion, down here in the bottom portion of the stamp in red. All of what is in red is what is on the stamp, with the exception of your Social Security number. You're handwriting that in yourself. So when you go to do that, when you go to use the stamps, you're going to write in red your Social Security number and exemption numbers, and then you're going to, in blue, autograph your transmitting utility and the date that you're doing it, the actual date you're sitting down to doing it. Okay, even if it's not, even though you may not send it in the mail till the next day or something like that. Whatever day you're sitting down to do it, that's the date you're putting. Okay? And again, notice, let me come back to it. Again, red and blue, okay, to show for that credit, debit side, right? They have to have signs just as much. All right, so, and in we'll go back to the instructions here. So it gives you that information. So you're going to be putting in your own wet ink, your transmitting utility name, first, middle initial, and last. You're not using the copyright symbol on this. Okay? Note, you're not using the copyright symbol for this process. Okay? If you don't have a middle name, you'll skip the middle name. We do have an Indianian that does not have a middle name. So they would, if they do one there, it would just be the first and last name. We have an Indianian that also has just a middle initial and was not actually given a last name. It's just a letter. That would be the same as well. All right, so again, do not add copyright. Don't add the trademark. Don't add all rights reserved without prejudice. Don't add the UCC 1308 to your signature. You're signing as the public transmitting utility. No adornments. Date is in blue, handwritten script, full month, 2-digit day, 4-digit year. The date is when the stamp is created and should match the date on the corresponding money order. So when we get to the money order part, right? Okay. So again, it's the date you're stamping it on the document to cancel the billing statement. Okay. And you're going to use that same date when we go to do the money order. And don't forget to do the back. Front and back. It has to be front and back for both sides. That's been the problem the whole time. They've only been doing one-sided of everything. All right, so let me see how I can be able to show you a bigger picture. Oh, here. Okay, so this is an example of a billing statement. All right, so here was an open spot in here, and so the stamp could be able to go here at an angle. Let me scroll a little bit more. And of course, this will be this. This is voucher coupon. So you'll fill in the amount. And if you'll notice, it's only the amount that's due. Okay. All right, let me scroll a little bit more here. All right, so this is the back. So, of course, it'll be the back. And now some of them, I've noticed where they have decided that's where they put all their fine terms and condition print on the back. If it's something like that, you may have to stamp on it. All right. Because it's not actual billing part, part of the billing. The main thing is just to make sure that to try and keep as much of their print not covered by the stamp, right? All right, so, okay. All right, here we go. Here is the money order part, Casey. Okay, so here we get into the money order portion. Okay, so we've already talked about, at the beginning part, it tells how to put the sandwich together once we're doing it. So here's how we're doing, where we've now discussed the how to do the banker stamp on the billing statement. Now we're doing the money order. So you'll create the money order. It's all going to be in blue for the money order. Okay? And you're going to be doing in your cursive. You want write as legibly as possible. Please don't be trying to be crafty or anything with it, because you want the one that's receiving it to actually be able to read it if you want them to pay for it, right? They will need to be able to know who it's supposed to go to, how much it's for, right? So please make it clear. Okay? Don't be as vague as possible. Be as clear as possible. You're course correcting. Okay, so let's see. The only exception is the text EIN. So everything obviously is going to be in cursive. The title, money order, you're going to title it money order. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll till we can see the actual picture of the money order. Oh, I got it. I want to show you this before we scroll to that, because this was up here. So when you're in the instructions, it has here a link where New Hampshire has included in here where they've shared their videos on the process, okay, as added support. So let me scroll now to the money order. Okay. Here we go. All right, so here's the actual money order. Now, you're not going to box anything in. The boxing on here is only so that you can be able to see that you're only going to be dealing with in that space area, okay? So you're going to handwrite money order at the top. That's the title of it, money order. Now, here you're writing the date numerically. And it's paid to United States Treasury. Here you're putting the $sign with 2 lines and the amount. And if you'll notice, even the amount, it may have a comma in there. It's just kind of hard to read right now on this smaller. Okay. But the $sign has 2 lines through it, not 1. Okay. 2 lines through it to back it. Then you're going to hand write the amount. All right. Now, if you'll notice where the change is at. So normally that would read, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. $1,234.56. Right? But that's not how you're writing it here. You're putting the change in a fraction format so that it all comes to dollars. Then the memo, so you'll put whatever, just whatever kind of note for it there. So for whatever bill that it goes to. Okay, and for that month, some kind of reference like that. Or you can put like Chase, Visa, an account number there in the memo if you wanted to. But just enough of a memo that's to recognize that it goes with that canceled billing statement. Then you're going to autograph with your transmitting utility. Here you're going to use the bicolon, first, middle initial, last name. Then you're going to put in the EIN, which is this is the exemption identification number without the hyphens. And then here you're putting authorized representative because you are the authorized representative of the transmitting utility. Now, you have to do the back. There is a back to it. Okay, this is key to finish the process. So you will turn it over, literally do a flip to it. It kind of gives you a thing right here. You're going to literally flip it over where this side is over here, where you're going to be putting your autograph on the back. This is called an endorsement, to endorse it. So you'll endorse with the bicolon, first, middle initial, last name. Okay. Now the following 2 pages show how to make the following pages showed how to make the money order on a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So in the previous instructions, we were doing, if you could write the coupon on the statement itself, or it's actually and then we went into actually doing a separate sheet of paper. So we're again still doing a separate sheet of paper for the money order itself, and it's all done in blue, and again front and back. So here's an example of it. So here's where, again, it's not boxed in. That was just showing you from the instructions aspect of it. So you take just a plain sheet of paper and prepare the money order. That's the front. And then with that, on that money order, so let me show you so that it is there. It's only going to be a partial here, but you can see on the bottom part of that same page, you got the money order at the top. You see up here is the money order. So then down here, you're going to do the banker's cancellation stamp at an angle. Okay. And then you're flipping it. You can see here to flip it to endorse on the back. And then you're also going to do the banker's cancellation, the banker's stamp on the back of that side as well, just as you did on the front for the money order. Okay. All right. I'm keeping scrolling. Okay. So I think this part I can switch to turn off the display. Hopefully the camera will work. Yay! Okay, worked this time. Okay. All right, so some of this I'm just going to then read. You can still be able to read it from the printout or from the website and everything. So as I talked about before, is paying your bills. So you're going to keep paying. Don't stop paying your bills, right? The mochi process will take 30 to 60 days if things are going well, and it can take 3 to 6 months or longer. So while you wait for the Internal Revenue Service to offset the debt via the United States Treasury, you need to keep paying your bills so you don't lose water, power, internet, phone, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, let me pull this back up so we can... I'll turn me off so you can see this. Okay. So these are the items that you can be able to start setting up as a traditional paper billing statement so you can be able to use them. So you'll be able to apply this to your utility bills, your regular monthly bills, trash, service, telephone, cell phone, cable, home security alarm, etc. We do have an Indianian that they did their sent for their trash service, and they started processing on that, so that is a success. Then there's also those things that are regular. They're the larger monthly payments. Okay. So once you start, so you've got mortgage and car payment. Okay. As those bigger monthly ones. So you want to start with those smaller regular ones to go to start posting with first, to start getting the process going, right? And then work in your mortgage and car payment. And like I said, with those, you're not paying the lump sum. You're just doing the monthly payment. Okay? Because while, albeit, you could send for the full lump amount, I mean, if you're close to a payoff, I mean, if you're like within a payment or two, something like that, you're close to a payoff, that's a different situation. And then you would also, in that memo, you would put to pay off account, something like that in the memo. Okay. But you're not going to do, if you just started the loan, you're not going to do it at that point. You're not going to do a lump payment at that point, because again, like I said earlier, that all those that are still making payments, if you lump sum pay off your full payment, your full amount that's owed, that's going to shift the interest higher on those, especially because not very many were able to get a fixed mortgage interest rate, right? Let's see. So we're going to make a money order and still send in regular payments, but only until they start to honor the money orders. Then we need to send the money orders every month, correct? Okay, yeah. Basically, you're getting it. Yes. So you're still going to be doing both, making your actual regular payments as well as doing this mochi process each month. Then follow your statements until you start seeing it actually applied, where because you'll see where you'll start seeing extra credits applied. So you want to make sure you monitor your statement. Then once you start seeing that, and really once it gets to where it's like 3 to 6 months that it is a regular thing, and that they didn't just because some companies may decide, well, because they may do it right away at first because they're intimidated, hey, it's the Internal Revenue Service. But then they may later decide, well, this is too much of a hassle for our, it's harming our company to go through this process, that they may decide, well, they don't want to do it anymore. So that's why take a little bit of time first watching your billing statements to see, that it really has taken traction, that's really going to follow through. Then you can stop making your physical payments, but you still send these money orders every month. Yes, correct. Okay, so how do one go on to check if bills are being in process? So that's where you're going to look at your billing statements. That's the only way you're going to find out, is that a credit is you'll start seeing additional credits outside of the payments that you've been applying. Okay, that's when you know that they've started accepting that process. Okay. And like I said, then you'll want to, once they start doing it, you'll still want to wait like another 3 to 6 months to make sure that it is gaining traction. Everybody's happy, working through this. And no matter what, you'll still be building a credit on that even though you're paying your own physical money, you're still building a credit on that because you're seeing it on your statement, right? So it's not like you'll be out the money that you paid. It'll actually still be. And then should it be, say, for example, you decided you moved, it was like on your electric bill, and you moved and you changed states, well, you have that huge credit. They'll pay, then you get that refund, right? You have that credit. If you close the account, you get the refund of that. So you won't be out that money, right? Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so you're focusing on your current bills. Okay. That's where your main thing is, so you can get some of that everyday, work on getting some of that everyday stuff, because it's everyday billing you would be you're paying in your process anyway, making you want to get that off get that moving as quickly as you can. So don't get hung up on trying to capture past bills either, because you have to have you need to have an original bill. Okay, so even though, I know I have this old one, not everybody not everybody has done so well of keeping all those old creditor paperwork and everything through the years. Okay, so right now, if you have an original bill, and it really needs to be something, recent, because even though it may be an old debt, the bill of them saying that it's still owed needs to be something recent. If it's an old debt, the bill should be like, you want it within the year, right? And then obviously your current things, right? Okay, let me scroll a little more here. All right, so then it goes on in this PDF that's at that link. It includes additional links where they're going further. New Hampshire is providing more details in the training that you can go through to be able to support you. Also, those that have presented their 1779 Declaration of Naturalization, 2 witness testimonies, and birth certificate minimum, they were given the opportunity to access what's called Mattermost. It's a communication platform that gives you access to other declared, recorded, and published nationals countrywide. And there's various channels on there that Americans get together and discuss what's going on and how to come together to work through the course correction process. So here are, so if you are papered up, which would be your 1779 2 witness testimonies and birth certificate, you would have that link. If you had presented and you skipped over that email, it would have been included with your information on moving forward with credentials. Email me and we can do it, get you in there. If you have not presented at least that yet and you're wanting to get moving forward on that, get in touch with me and we can get you started. And that will get your status changed to American State National and get you moving forward on other things as you're working through getting the other paperwork and you're peeling out of the process. And again, it says here, get papered up. Your recording secretary or coordinator will give you then the link to be able to sign up with Mattermost. Okay, so SIA coordinators, which I'm the Indiana SIA coordinator, existing or past coordinators, are great resources, as Assembly Mochi process is the same as the SIA process as of January 2023. Ask your recording secretary or state coordinator to see if your assembly has SIA coordinators. And SIA coordinators are also welcome to be able to add to come forward, but at that point, then you will need to be fully armored up. And it is a background check with the financial background aspect of it, and the Federation does do the vetting aspect on that. But it is well rewarding to be able to give the support to Indianans. All right, so here we go. Get a little bit more in here. So here we're going through the letters. So the Internal Revenue Service cover letter. So below follows the recommended Internal Revenue Service cover letter. You are instructing the Internal Revenue Service to process your canceled billing statements and have the Treasury apply your credit via your money orders. And believe me, I retired actually from the county of Monroe. where I worked in the auditors and the treasurer's office, and I literally saw where they took a piece of paper based on after a council meeting, from a vote, they took a piece of paper and created a check out of that piece of paper. It is literally the same concept as what we're doing with the money order, except money order has more value than the check. So you've got to think of these things from a metaphysical perspective. They did not want you to know the power that you actually have at your fingertips. Okay, so your instructions: customize the highlighted fields in the cover letters included here. It's included with this, and we'll be getting to it. As needed, then remove the highlighting before you print it. The tracking number, so there's a place for you to actually write whatever your tracking number is, that of how you're sending it, to put it on that letter before you put it in the envelope. Okay, because remember that most of these entities, right, there's some sort of a mailing distribution center, or they even have assistants that open those envelopes and go through that mail before that recipient ever gets it, right? So if you went through the whole process and expense to send it registered mail and you didn't write it on that letter, that recipient may never know you actually sent it registered mail, and then they don't think they actually have to act on it, right? Because then they don't know that you actually were conducting business, serving them notice through that process, that they have to do something, right? As well as then you have a copy of it, so that should you need to be able to use it as evidence that you've sent it. You're going to autograph the Internal Revenue Service cover letter with your man or woman byline in blue. And this one, for the cover letter, you're going to include your full middle name with the copyright symbol, doing it in the correct autograph. Optionally seal with your red thumbprint over part of the autograph. Like I've been showing you all through the process, is that you're standing up, so the thumbprint is straight up over the last part of your last name and the copyright symbol, covering both so that it connects the two. But you don't need it, but you can if you want. And this does not need to be witnessed in any way. This is something you're conducting this business. Then you're going to make a carbon copy. The recipients are optional. So, however, it should send a message to the Internal Revenue Service that other parts of the national government are watching, and that will hopefully behoove them to do their jobs. See the mailing section below for the address of the IRS Technical Support Division. So don't worry, you don't have to go looking elsewhere. It's included in the instructions. All right, so optional explanation of political status. So you can optionally add a section explaining your political status, but this is not necessary. You do not need to add an explanation of your political status. People who do not want to share anything more than the minimum with the Internal Revenue Service should not add an explanation of political status. You can do this in many ways, and we document some ideas here. We strongly suggest you keep this simple and short. So explain how, so you're going to include where, because you have a LRO member record, here is the link for that you're going to include for them to be able to do they can be able to look up your record with your explaining it there, or you can create what's called a tiny URL, and it gives the explanation and how to be able to do that, to be able to include in your cover letter. So you're going to then also include a copy of front and back of your credential card. If you got one, it would be beneficial to include with it, and you'll add it on a separate sheet of paper to enclose with it. and an explanation of, so some examples for a man born on Florida, living on Iowa. So for example, let me pull this so you can, I'm a living man. I am a publicly recorded, unrebutted, birthright Floridian and member of the general public living in original jurisdiction on Iowa. I am not a U.S. citizen. I am not a citizen of the United States. Second one, I'm a living man. I'm a publicly recorded, unrebutted, birthright Floridian and member of the general public in original jurisdiction on Iowa. I am not a voluntary transactor in commerce. I trade internationally under the protection of the Federation of States, private indemnity bond, and the list, and the state that you are currently living on. Registered with the United States Treasury. I am not a U.S. citizen. I'm not a citizen of the United States. Version 3. I am a living man. I am a publicly recorded, unrebutted, birthright Floridian and member of the general public living in original jurisdiction on Iowa. An original declaration of political status was sent to Anthony Blinken, Office of Secretary of State, via registered mail number, and include the registered mail number, with return receipt on the date. The Bureau of Consular Affairs was notified via registered mail with a return receipt date. I am not a voluntary transactor in commerce. I trade internationally under the protection of the Federation of States, private indemnity bond, and it lists with the state of being the state currently live on, registered with the United States Treasury. I'm not a U.S. citizen, not a citizen of the United States. Okay, so giving. And then the next example you could use, I'm a living man, a publicly recorded, unrebutted, birthright Floridian member of the general public living in original jurisdiction on Iowa. I'm not a 14th Amendment citizen, combatant, corporation, dependent, legal person, mariner, minor, natural person, officer, pauper, sovereign, citizen, subject, taxpayer, vessel, voluntary transactor in commerce, or dead legal entity in maritime, water administrative jurisdiction. I am not a territorial U.S. citizen nor a municipal citizen of the United States. So if you did not end up sending, which I have been able to locate a cover letter to be able to send, that you would send to the Bureau of Consular Affairs to be able to support. I've got to get that template out onto the. Okay. So if you didn't have that, there's other options for how you can be able to put that in there if you wanted to include it. If you want to optionally add an extended explanation, you can add a separate enclosed document. For an example, use the guarantee and disclaimer info below. We strongly urge and suggest you keep your cover letter to 1 page. It is very unlikely that any busy Internal Revenue Service agent will or can read any more than that, right? All right, so a sample Internal Revenue Service. Okay, so it gives a little box here of number 1, simplest, no political status mentioned. Or you can have a variant that claims state nationality with notifications to U.S. State of State and Consular Affairs. Or version 3, claims state nationality with notifications to U.S. State of State Consular Affairs, not a voluntary transactor, trade under protection of indemnity bond. Or optional guarantee and disclaimer. Okay, so example of a cover letter. So here's this in the top right, you've got your space for where you would put your tracking number information. First, middle, last name, copyright, address. You know now that you put care of or in care of or C/O colon before putting your address. City, state, near, postal code, and put your zip in brackets. You can either put the 9999 or you can put your actual zip. It's the putting it in brackets that makes the difference. Here's the address for the Internal Revenue Service. You'll put the date, notice of mutual offset, exchange exemption, which I don't know why I'm trying to scroll that part. Hold on. Okay, so the enclosed billing statements with coupons and provided money orders are to be processed to offset debt as per the public policy established in 1933 by House Joint Resolution 192 and as codified in Federal Public Law 7310 and 48 Statute 112. These laws have been on the books for over 90 years. Be advised that once you have been informed, it's criminal to willfully ignore this demand for remedy. But bear note, if they don't follow through, that's when then you've got to take steps to follow through on your side as well. These instruments are provided in good faith as Congress has not provided instructions on how to execute the remedy. Each billing statement with coupon and corresponding money order are separated by color paper dividers to facilitate processing. Now this is highlighted in there so that if you have more than one, if you're only sending one at the time, then you don't need to and you can remove that statement. If you require further information regarding this directive for remedy, contact me at the location above. Notice to agents is notice to principals, notice to principals, notice to agents, all rights reserved without prejudice. And even though it has it printed on the letter, put the word bicolon in your own wet ink. Okay? It is officially a part of your autograph now. You have to protect your name. If you're lazy in how you autograph your name, it's on you if your name continues to be monetized. Okay. So there, and then it goes further to give you who you're copying so that the Internal Revenue Service can see that you're sending a copy to these congressional delegates. And here is the second IRS. So I guess you're copying them, but the one you're actually sending the registered mail one to is this first one. And then you can just send it as a copy to the others, but where they're seeing that it was sent tracked mail. Okay, so then here is a template that if you wanted to go ahead and include a statement of political status, so everything's the same here, and that and directive for tender of payment, closed statement. Okay, going to that, just the same. Okay, so here is where it adds in something about the I'm a publicly recorded, unrebutted birthright Floridian and member of the general public. So the statements that we read above, that's where you'll be able to see where you can include it in that paragraph there. If you do have more than one, you would include that statement. But because you're putting in there that you have sent to Secretary of State and Consular Affairs, you're going to have to include that in your list of who you're copying. Okay? And who you sent it to. Alright, and that way also everybody's on the same page, right? And here is that it includes the example if you're adding in the guarantee and disclaimer within the template. So read each one and see which ones you're comfortable with doing. Again, it's on you. Let me scroll down. So it's with that one, it's only this much in the that you're adding in, but it includes then, and I'll scroll down, but then it'll include this optional guarantee and disclaimer template for you as well. So I'm not going to read it. You can read it, but it goes through. You'll put your name information in there. Okay. All right. And it's a one-pager of that, of going through the optional guarantee and disclaimer, extended explanation of political status. It's a one pager, but it does not identify that you're it's only putting your names in there. It's not asking you to show documentation of where you sent anybody any mailing. Okay, then it goes into the Congress Critter cover letter. So, but this is something that is in progress. You can kind of get the gist through here of how to put that together. Some sample versions with links here so that you can be able to pull that together for you. And again, as the information comes along, as it becomes clear, you know, we'll be get that information out to everyone as it comes along. So you can send your carbon copies to the Committee on Oversight and Accountability chairpersons instead of your local Congress critters if you prefer. And here's links for that. Now that I think is a huge one, right? Because obviously the actual, obviously the committees are made up of these representatives. However, the point of the Oversight and Accountability Committee, right, is to inform them that they're not doing their job. So it may be an option. So you may choose to do that as opposed to sending it to the congressional representatives. So that's an option for you, right? Again, you're going through determining what feels comfortable with you in spirit, right? Okay, so the Washington Debt Redemption Working Group Plan, again, that's in Mattermost. It provides, they've shared a short cover letter for Congress, and it evidently is going to be in here. Enclose a copy of your Internal Revenue Service Mochi letter, optionally a one-page sample of what we're sending to the Internal Revenue Service, example, a sample money order that's voided. So you're just voiding a copy to the Congress representative because it's not an actual one that you're wanting to use. So you won't be doing any kind of void on that aspect, but for your copy to show them, you're going to make sure that it's void so they don't think it's an actual one to send. With a sample billing statement. So the congressional candidates are not going to get a copy they're not going to get the bills like you've sent to the Internal Revenue Service. You're just going to send one that says an example. And it can be a copy. It doesn't have, it's because you're sending the originals to the Internal Revenue Service. All right, so optionally notify them of your monthly offset and your total offset. You may be useful later when claiming that they did not honor the remedy for a certain amount, right? And so references are here are two of Anna's articles. And then, and so, of course, the assemblies are still working on a table of contents to be able to support those letters. All right, so here is an example of a letter. So I'm not going to read through it. You can be able to read through it, but giving you examples of templates for the congressional candidates, just like it was with the Internal Revenue Service with the variant types. The first one includes where it has the links of who you included with. You may want to also include JAG. It's an option, right? Where this is about a course correction and get them to move, right? Okay, here is one for one of the Congress critters. It's got these laws have been on the books for over 90 years highlighted, right? Now that you've been informed, it's criminal to willfully ignore, right? And in this, it also includes that it's informing them that each month you're going to be sending that. You're letting them know as well. And that each month they'll be getting a copy to inform them that it's still not being done. Here's a sample of what's going on. and you still need to make sure that this is happening. So we'll keep sending you this information as well until you ensure that they are following through. All right. So again, it gives you the different to be able to different variants to be able to use. Okay, so then sample company letter, company CFO cover letter, and again, that's to the CFO of a company if it's getting to where it's 30 to 60 days and you're not seeing the credit apply. What's JAG? Okay, that's a great question. Judicial Attorney General, I think, is the J part. Okay. J for Judicial Attorney General. But if you do a search for JAG or Indiana JAG, even, it'll help you get there. Okay, so again, they were, as the instructions had said earlier on, they're still working through a template for the company CFO cover letter, because obviously the main goal is that getting Internal Revenue Service and the congressional candidates or the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, giving them time. But otherwise, then going through and sending a letter to the CFO, not any HR, not the president of the company, but the CFO, because it's relative to the money, and obviously not a cashier type of, or billing agent, that kind of thing. You want the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. You're welcome, dear. Okay, so don't know what. Okay. So send if credits are not applied after 30 to 60 days. Before sending the CFO letter, check with the company for credits via phone. So you may, because like I said before, you're going to be checking your billing statements, right, and your account. So then you can also make a phone call. Call them up and say, I just wanted to follow up and see if there was any additional charges in process to be applied to this, right? So things like that, and say that you had submitted it to the Internal Revenue Service for them to process that payment, and they should be looking for them with that information. Let's see. Okay, so here is a brief template that you can be able to, that just gives a kind of an idea, get a little bit of a starter going for you. This is your notice that I'm requiring the Internal Revenue Service to offset the public debts charged to that all caps name, and you're informing them too that there are codes on the books so that they need to be aware. So if they're trying to avoid it, it's not going to happen, because these are actual codes that have been codified. Okay, so then it goes in further. Instructions for companies set off demand letter. So SOAD, that's what the SOAD abbreviation was in that previous page. So here's getting a little more detail other than that beginning segment here. So it's going into giving you some verbiage to be able to include in that. But again, you're not going to be, it's going to be at least 30 to 60 days before you're at this point, but you can also, if you wanted to start working with formulating that information. And in this, you're going to be including that they're going to need to ensure that they do the 1099 OID. It is the corporation doing the 1099 OID and presenting the W-9. It's not you doing it. It's not something that you're processing that 1099 OID. It's a means to enforce that they're following through on their side. Because now they have to report it to the, through their filing their return, because it was processed through the Internal Revenue Service. But that's for their documentation, and you getting a copy of it ensures that they did follow through, and they have, once they've, I mean, obviously they're going to turn in what they turn in, but the rule of thumb is that if they know they have to do a 1099 OID and present the W-9, that they have to then report that they are having to process those payments and accept them. Okay, so an example of set off demand in a court scenario. Okay, so this is where it'll come helpful for some that have a court scenario. So you can be able to go into some of that information. This should be a counter offer to any warrant, summons, case docket, etc. presented by their courts operating outside their limited jurisdiction. The information contained herein can also be used to respond to other forms of currency as shown in context. Areas that may need specific information, like the state where you were born or your registered mail number, are indicated by highlighted areas. And so they'll need to be changed. And then, of course, you remove the highlighting. If you're living on an eastern state, you'll need to edit out the material about the recent enrollment of the western states, as it does not apply to your state. We're in the Northwest Ordinance, so you'll have to keep it in. Indiana is on what came through in the Northwest Ordinance with Ohio. We were not part of the original 13 states. Call who exactly? Call the CFO of the company of who you owe it to, and say, this bill has been sent to the Internal Revenue Service. I'm looking for, you should be seeing some credits coming to be applied. I'm not going to be able to, you're talking, your letters to the CFO, so that's who you're going to be contacting, is the CFO of that corporation. So you've answered your own question in that. Okay. And really all it is, you could even start with just doing a phone call to do an inquiry on to see if there was any additional credits being applied or any additional activity on your account, and just that general person answering the phone can be able to look that up for you. All right, so an example of it. So here's where it says account number is your, Social Security number without the dashes. This is how your exemption number is defined, where it says subject, put in the bill, ticket, CC name of the company, and accounts, tickets, warrants, etc. Where it says born state, if you were not born on one of the 50 states of the Union, insert state you were naturalized on. If not naturalized, then use your adopted state. All right, always attach the warrant, summons, credit card billing statement, etc. and in the top right corner of that invoice, write exemption account number, and then the asterisk, your social without the hyphen, and another asterisk. Using gold ink, or if you don't have a gold ink pen, use blue. Always remove highlights before printing. So that's new. Okay, so let me pull that up again here so you'll see it is in the instructions here. So you are gonna include just like with the previous, you're gonna include the actual bill, warrant, summons, whatever it is. And at the top, you're going to write exemption account number, asterisk, your social without the hyphens, and asterisk. And if you can, use gold or blue. Okay. So that was to give you that. Let me scroll now. So then in the instructions, it does go and give you the template so you can be able to go through that. again, is working through it, and you, like, for example, this one has like file number, so you'll use whatever it is. Let's see, it's an established fact of Congress in terms of in the United States of America. Oh, you'll leave that. So you're only dealing with what's highlighted, right? As to why use gold? Because we're royalty. Gold has the higher value. All right. Continue scrolling. So, and it goes into 2, 3, 4 pages. We're not reading that. It's in that instruction. So 4 pages in that. Okay. All right. Then here's another example that's a 1-pager that you could use as well. So if you wanted to get lengthy in your details, you could, or then here is a 1-pager to support. All right, so, okay, mailing options. All right, so the best reference for all USPS options, and it has a link here on to help you sort out pricing options. And it goes through details here about priority mail, first class. I don't need to, you can read through all that. It goes through, gives more detail about registered mail. Okay, then it breaks down here, mailings. So here is a spreadsheet breakdown of different mailings, what you'll send with, where address details, what priority, how to send, things like that. Okay, to support in that one. Scroll more, and it goes through the various ones of all the different mailings that could possibly be doing. Oh, and it continues on to the next page as well, but it gives you the gives you a listing of what you're sending with, and the address of where to send, or how to figure out who you're sending it to. All right, so then it goes on, genuine copy templates. A declaration of genuine copy may be useful if you do not have original billing documents. Making a declaration of general copy should give more weight to your claims, especially if it is one that you don't have an original. This is only needed for copies of billing statements that you want to cancel to send to the Internal Revenue Service. There are many variations of the declaration verbiage you can use, but we will provide 2 alternatives here. So it gives you the different declarations, comment, and source for that information. Again, instructions, replace any highlighted text as needed. So don't keep it in, don't keep the yellow highlight, but what is highlighted is what you're going to update, but then remove that yellow highlighting. Then choose either whichever declaration you want, and delete the other. And then it includes a verbiage separator, this line bar, so you'll want to make sure you get rid of that too. Okay, so here is the draft template for the declaration of genuine copy for enclosed statement. So you have that template there as well. Okay. Here's another variation of it as well. All right. So then it goes into an FAQ section, so you can be able to take time to be able to read through that. So how much should we offset for credit cards? take the balance and divide by 12 months and make out the payment for that, for whatever a 1 month amount is. That way you're kind of doing a little bit more than the minimum balance, right? Which billing statements should I start with, so forth. So it goes through, there's several in the FAQ to be able to support you through that. There's 10 specific FAQs for you. And here's a glossary for you to give you more details of the term MOCHI, mutual offset credit exchange exemption, pronounced MOCHI, like change. UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, the laws of commerce that have been adopted by all states. For example, state of Alabama, state of Indiana. List of references with the links for you, so you can go into each of those readings. All right, as well as, again, included in that list of links are where New Hampshire has done short videos for additional training support for them to share as well. Here, then, it includes a copy of the House Joint Resolution 192, so that you can include a copy if you wanted to with your paperwork, or also mainly so that you can be able to read it yourself, so you have that knowledge of what it says. Here, Anna's Article 24, Final Judgment and Civil Orders with Final Addendums updated. So it goes through is referring to House Joint Resolution 192. It goes through other articles and the pulling out. It's got a link to the articles as well as pulling out certain elements from it. UCC Commercial Code 3603. Is the CFO letter available? It is in there. We looked at that, dear. Hang on. Let me go back. That's the... And there are a few versions of it, variants of it. So you still want to read it and look through it, okay? As to which one is going to work out. So, here we go. Here's a CFO letter template. Here's one that's a lengthy one. So you have an option that's an extreme, like a 4-page one. Then there's an option of a 1-pager to go to. Oh, it probably helps if I show you. Hold on. Let me pull that back up so you can be able to see. Let me go back to it. There is... Okay, so here is where there's a 4-pager. It's very lengthy 4-page one. And then there is a 1-page, much shorter one right after it. Page 31 in the instructions. Okay, so there are the example templates for the CFOs. Okay, all within the same PDF document. Okay. All right, so let's see. FAQs, references, house joint, and then different articles. Again, here was the explaining the UCC 3603, so that you have reasons as to why you would want to how it affects the tender. Let's see. Tender of payment obligations. Okay. And then it gives it goes on and gives support of version history of how the assemblies have pulled together to be able to bring this information out to y'all. All right, so. And you're staying informed of, you know, keeping up with what their notes are and everything like that as well. So, so let me stop showing that and bring me back. Okay, there we go. All right, so there was a walkthrough of that, and as you can see, that it included example templates, so not just one version of templates, so you have options, so read through them as to what you're going to feel comfortable with, right? And then at the very beginning, it showed what the letter, how you're going to put together your letter to the Internal Revenue Service, because the Internal Revenue Service is the one that's getting all those bills you're sending each month. So that's why it's the Internal Revenue Service is getting the mochi sandwich. Okay, so at the very beginning of that instruction, let me go back to it so I can be able to, you can be able to see. And at the very beginning, the table of contents is very thorough and breaking down to be able to help you read through and go through it. Let's see here. Let's see. Listed. Let's see. Page. Here we go. Process outline. Page 5. This is how you're putting your. Oh, hold on. Let me turn me off. Show you this. So here's your page 5 process outline. So this is how you're putting your sandwich together. Okay. Internal Revenue Service is the only one that's getting the original bills, your original wet ink money orders, so they're getting all of those. The Congress critters, they're getting only one, and you're stamping on it copy and void just so that you give them an example of what it looks like, but you're not sending them everything that you sent to the Internal Revenue Service. And that was one thing that I had instructed in the previous one, was to include giving them a copy of all that too, but they're minimizing that. So no worries, we're working through it. And so that way you have different, again, read through it, right? You want to read through each thing to see how each of those templates, because there's different variants of it, so you can decide what you feel comfortable with sending and what information you need to be able to update on that. All right, so that wraps up that. That's why the debt redemption process is not one of those that can, be done in one of those one-to-one calls, because it's a lot of information to put together, and so it helps in a group setting to be able to share that information. So you have resources there to be able to help you. You have links to be able to go to read more. You have links to training videos that I've done. Obviously that there are some modifications, but the gist of it will help you go through it. Obviously you're going to be sticking with the updated version, because that's where we're at this point. And you have where New Hampshire Assembly has shared video links of their training. So you have support there. But always, no matter what, even if it feels, especially, if you start feeling overwhelmed, and a lot of times right now, you could even feel more overwhelmed because of all the solar flare CMEs that are going on. So that can make you feel antsy already. So you'll want to just stop. Obviously, if you're driving or traveling, don't do this. Don't stop and do this, but stop, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose, out your mouth, and ask Spirit, okay, what do I need to see right now? What is it I need to work with right now? And Spirit will reveal to you how to be able to help you. Okay? Always, always, always count on Spirit, because Spirit will always guide you in the right direction. You just have to be the one to listen and follow through. Right? All right. So, unless there were any other questions, it's been great to finally be able to have an exchange. We've been able to work this through. Now, and this was, there was no Zoom involved in this, but it's still YouTube and OBS. It's OBS connecting into YouTube so that we still have a record, so the assembly still has a recording of the video, so it's not YouTube's video. So if they decided they didn't want to have it up there anymore and take it down, we still have a copy of it, right? Okay. So so far this works well. It was great being able to have that exchange with you all in the chat. And I'm still working out Zoom, but those that are going to be on Zoom calls anyway, at least have already presented their 1779 2 witness testimonies and birth certificate anyway. So they get, those that get into get a Zoom call link for the General Assembly calls, that's where it then gets a little difficult because Indiana, the General Assembly is able to come in on YouTube, but not be able to chat. I'm still trying to figure out when I'm using Zoom, it's not able to chat in YouTube. So I'm trying to figure that out. But this has been great. It was nice opportunity that we could be able to get together, go through the updated version. We're all seeing, again, as I had said even back in November, this is a work in progress. We're all working to bring this forward so that we can help everyone to start clearing this debt. And so you'll start seeing your load lighten. It'll start getting easier. You will see it happen. It does actually manifest in the physical, in the real, for you to see it and live it. Okay? So, all right. So I don't see any more questions or comments. So we'll go ahead and end here. I want to thank you all again for taking the time to go through with us. And I want to wish you peace and love. Have a great evening. Take care.